Here's the start of turn 7 and the buys. Germany did buy down damage on 2 different factories, which is the yellow chips in front. Russia, Japan, US. China, they doubled their strength on this buy from last turn. Britain had to buy down the damage on Gibraltar naval base, which kind of actually hurt them. They needed those units elsewhere. Italy and down to Anzac. So the miners there are kind of strong, except for China, I guess. Here are the national objectives that are in play. And let's get on with the German move here. So Germany does not really have enough to hit that fleet at Gibraltar, so they're going to go a different route. And they're going to hit these 2 Russian ships to try and clear out the Baltic. They will also go for the Caucasus territory and Stalingrad. I think we're going to take a shot at Iraq just to put more pressure on the British. And let me flip that around. Yeah, Iraq's in the viewfinder there. So, alright. So let's start with Iraq. Just infantry and a tank, but we are going to fly a fighter and bomber from Rome. The bomber will have 3 left, and the fighter 1. And they do have some decent landing spots available to them. There is one other attack that I thought maybe I should make. In this territory, Russia, that is surrounding Moscow here, there's 2 artillery, a tank, and an anti-aircraft gun. I'm thinking if I send in a couple of mechs and then these 2 fighters and 2 Stukas and punish some Russian hardware, that might be a worthy cause. I'm assuming that the Russians will only get 2 hits back on me because I don't care to take the territory. I just want to damage their ability to counterattack. But I don't really want to risk a plane that I'm going to need in that Moscow assault, so we'll throw a 3rd mech in there just in case. And those planes will each have 2 left. Alright, so into Caucasus, we're going to send these 2 infantry from Rostov. Or not Caucasus, Stalingrad. We're going to send 3 tanks and 3 mech, or 2 mech, into the Caucasus. This 3rd mech is going to go into Stalingrad along with all the tanks, which is 13 tanks. And the reason why they're committing to Stalingrad is because the Russian counterattack really is only an infantry, 2 tanks, and some planes, which is not a good Russian counterattack. But there's no other way to go about doing that. I guess I could let's send 2 mechs into Stalingrad, just because I think I'm going to take more casualties there for sure. So we're counting on 1 there, counting on getting into our tanks there, and here we're hoping we don't get into the planes. So we're going to need a destroyer to hit that sub. The sub can pass through this sub, doesn't have to attack it, so it's going to hit that cruiser. And we're going to send in 2 tacks the Stukas into that, and they'll have 2 left. And hitting this sub is going to be 3 fighters and a Stuka. They will have 3 left because they're coming from an air base. Alright, so what do I have left here? I've got a bomber in Romania. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it would have 2 left. We'll throw it into that, see if we can't clear out that firepower there. And I believe the rest will be non-com movements. Alright, so let me get that dice tray. Really no good place to set it here where it's in view. No, that's not even in view. Over there? No. Maybe I'll just hold it. Chuck dice into it. Alright, so let's do some naval battles first. First off, this sub, if it hits that cruiser, the cruiser doesn't fight back. It didn't. So we've got 2 3s. So they got a hit. The cruiser is dead. The cruiser does get to fire back, and it hits, so that German sub is gone. Alright, so those will land. Alright, so here we've got a 2 for the destroyer, 3 3s for the fighter, and a 4 for the tack on that submarine. 4 hits, that's sufficient. Sub fires back, misses. Convoy zone is now gone. Alright, so that's the 2 naval battles. So let's go up here to this battle here. There is an anti-aircraft gun. So the Russians will get 3 dice for that anti-aircraft gun. Alright, no hits or damage. So the fight continues on with 3 1s for the mech, 2 3s for the fighter, and then 3 4s for the Stukas and that bomber. 3 hits, so that will be the artillery, or 2 artillery and anti-aircraft gun. So the tank survives if I do not wish to continue, but it's going to depend on the defense roll here. Alright, 2 2s and a 3. They got 2, so I've got 1 mech left. So it seems worthy to try and get that tank. And I will roll the 4s and the 3. Well, you know what? Might as well throw the 1 in there just for the heck of it. Alright, 3 hits. Tank fights back, gets a hit. So mutual destruction. So that will not be a German territory. Alright, so the Caucasus battle. We'll do the Stalingrad one last, since that's a worthy battle there. In stature, I suppose. Alright, so 3 tanks and a mech. 2 hits, which is all that's there. 2 British soldiers. Oh, nay, exact 2 back. So I lost a tank in that battle. That was not counted for. But the British did their duty. Got on with it. All right. So now I got 13 tanks. So I got 4 1s. So I'm going to have to roll that in some waves here. So 2 or 6. So here's 6 of the tanks. And the 4 1s for the infantry mechs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have 7 more tanks. And I gotta go long for a 3 over here. Don't quite have enough what you need. Ouch! Only 5 hits. That's a battle that should not have gone 2 rounds. So there's 4, 5. So that leaves 2 British tanks and an artillery left. So Russia will have 4 2s, actually 5 2s. I didn't get my dice together properly, and then 2 3s. Alright, so here is the defense. 2 hits, so that'll be the 2 infantry. Alright, so 13 tanks and 2 1s. So we'll go with 6 and the 1s. 2 hits. Now I got 7 tanks for the other. That's what I needed on that first round. So I'll take off the casualties. And they do get to fire back. 2 3s and a 2. 2 hits. They did not get into the tank, but they did clear out all the infantry. Alright. I believe... Oh, no, there's Iraq. Iraq, we got a 1. We have 2 3s and a 4. This is a battle of attrition here. 2 hits, though. So the British lose 2. They fire back. They have 3 units in there. And they get 2. So that's the end of that battle. So we took away a little bit of their punch. And now we've got to land our planes. Alright, so this bomber will fly back to Greece. Fighter has to land in Syria or Transjordan. Syria is the obvious choice. Alright, so all these planes have 2 left. So they're going to head back to where they came from in the Ukraine after I move all these infantry out. Alright, so let's take that stack, convert it into a green chip. Move it up here forward in our march to Moscow. Alright, so that's what can reach Moscow. Out of Crimea, these 3 units move into Rostov. These 3 move into western Ukraine. So Germany goes up 6. The other attacks, they did not capture territory. So that is painful for Russia because now they're in the lower 20s. Germany is up to 72. And they did pick up another national objective for Stalingrad. So all these planes head back here to the Ukraine. I guess there's not an A in there. Alright, so there is a slight opportunity here for a counterattack on Novograd again. So that infantry, that tank can make it. So we're going to send this transport. We're going to grab this infantry and tank, and then with our build and these 2 Stukas, hopefully that will be enough deterrent for Russia not to counterattack that. So get those out of there. Those battles are done. These planes will land back in western Germany. Alright, so what are we going to do here? We're going to march 1 there, and all up in the Baltic, in case there's another counterattack needed. Alright, we're going to slide a man down. I don't know that there's going to be any anti-air planes involved in a Normandy assault, but I'll leave that AA gun there. We'll move these 2 guys into France. Slide that guy over. The U.S. cannot reach this sea zone. Britain can. So I'm wondering if I need to move that cruiser and destroyer in. I've got a scramble here. It doesn't seem like that's a wise use of British forces to attack that that zone there. So we'll leave that as is. We'll bring this sub back. Maybe that'll help. This sub will come back to the safety of that air base. Alright, I think this transport will pick up a tank and a man back into Syria. And the mech that's in there will drive north into Romania. Now I think Germany's done with its movements. So we're going to place, and we're getting ready for the US-British assault in Normandy. So we're going to place some guys in Paris, which is one of the factories. Put in an artillery, 2 men. We're going to need to build up Western as well, Western Germany. Got another sub we're going to put over here in the Med, along with a man and an artillery for movement into Africa if needed. Alright, so in Crimea we've got 2 tanks and an infantry. In Novgorod, 2 tanks and an infantry. And that last artillery, we're going to place it in Berlin and pulling these infantry back. That way if I've got to go back, grab these 2 and come forward, I can do that. And Germany goes up to 72 plus 15, so that'll be 87, which is 1 less than the US. Problem with that is, well, I guess Germany's fighting 2 fronts too, but they're just a lot closer together than the US. Alright, so let's go on to the Russian move. And I think everything's in view here from Russia, because they're no longer in the Far East. So a counterattack for Russia would be 3 artillery and 4 planes. Pretty sure that's not a good move, so we're going to just be a strategic movement phase. In other words, retreat. We're going to move all our artillery back, and we're going to slide this 1 guy over. We're going to slide. Now we don't really need to defend Russia because they don't have any tanks that can get through there. We will put 1 guy in Samara though to prevent those tanks from blitzing into Moscow. All our planes head to Moscow, take advantage of that airfield. And all these guys are going to head back. We're going to leave 2 behind to prevent some cheesy pickoffs. And hopefully they can get to Moscow before the German forces do. So we're going to let China fight their own battle. We'll leave 1 we'll leave 1 guy there so there's not a Japanese walk-on. And the only Russian factory left is in Moscow. So we're placing 7 units, 5 infantry and 2 tanks. The last thing I like to do is just have a huge stack of infantry, because a bunch of 2s sometimes kicks you right in the butt. Alright, and I did forget to do the convoy for Norway on that Russian sub. They rolled 2 1s, so that is $2 away from Germany. Take that, get rid of that. And let's go to Japan. Japanese turn 7. The battle for Calcutta is on. I went ahead and moved everything into position like a battle board on the other side. No need for you guys to just sit there and watch me move units to the dice tray on the side of the table. But I did bring in all 4 transports and some ships, and that plane couldn't reach the battle, but it's going to be on that carrier, so there's no idea of a scramble from Britain. So that is, there's a walk-on in the north, or the far side of Mongolia, so the last stretch. I guess I need to move that other infantry too, this one here, so I'll get a marker for that. So Mongolia is now completely gone. Not that that matters other than anything other than a place for US bombers to land, but you know, on a desperate mission. But there are none in the region anyway, so that doesn't matter right now. So 2 walk-ons in the north, Calcutta in the south, and then Japan will have to reposition for the upcoming battle with the US fleet. And there you can see the lineup for the big battle. Britain does have the advantage in land units, 22, and I think Japan had 15 or 16, I can't remember the count. But obviously Japan has that air advantage. And they do get naval bombardment. And we'll roll that now to get it out of the way. So there's 2 hits for the naval bombardment. So let's just do that. 2 hits. Alright, so going to the infantry, I got 3 at 1 and 8 at 2. Get that out of the way. Alright, there's 2 hits. That's not very good for the infantry. Alright, tanks, we've got 5. Fighters, we've got 4. There's 4 hits. And then we got tactical bombers, 5, and then 2 bombers, strategic bombers. Alright, so there is 6. Alright, so that would be 6, 10, 12, 14. 14 casualties for Britain. You know what? I didn't roll those anti-aircraft guns. And they have to re-roll those planes. Alright, so I need 2 more dice. Two 2s. So I do. 2 planes are damaged. So we'll take 2 fighters off. And we have a choice of Burma or that carrier. We're going to put 1 on the carrier anyway, so now I'll need to re-roll those 3s. So the 3 portion, I'll have to roll the tanks as well, because there's a big difference. There's the 5 tanks. There's 3 hits. 2 fighters. 5. So let's count that. That's 6, 10, 15. I think that actually worked out in Japan's favor. I thought they had 14 the first round, so we're gonna stick with 14. So there's 2, 6, 12. We'll bring that over here, leaving 1 guy left. All right, there's your 14. So they get, there's 9, there's 10, 13, 18, 19 2s. So let's see what we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 3 hits on that round. Added 1. Oh, that's why I don't like 2s in the defense. So they got 3 hits on all those 2s. So let's set that there. We've got a fighter, or 3 fighters and a tank. Whew, not good. Not good. That's pretty much going to be it for Calcutta, I believe. So Japan's tacking in round 2 with 6 twos. And we're going to have 2 fighters, 5 tanks, and then I'll roll the bombers and tanks separate. Well, only 3. So that ain't good for the attackers. Alright, so 5, so I got 7 at 4. Only 3, so that is 6 total. That is the remainder of the UK Pacific infantry. So they will have 6 infantry and artillery to fire back. 2 hits. They have a tank and 3 fighters. Only 4. Unbelievable. So that takes up 2 artillery, 2 mech, which leaves them with 2 twos, 2 fighters, 5 tanks. Alright, round 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is it. Britain is down to a 2, 3, and 3 fours. Oh. Alright, well, that leaves 0 opportunity for those 3 artillery in India to attack and reclaim Calcutta. Thanks for not participating. Alright, so let me move the camera back where I can see everything, and we'll do non-com for Japan. Alright, so we'll put those units back here. So the buy for Calcutta is now gone, and that $10 goes to Japan. So it wasn't a ton of money, but still. So there are 5 tanks and 2 artillery, which is way more than Britain can assault with, especially since there's a navy sitting here that prevents those transports from bringing anything else in. Alright, so we've got a bunch of planes that I want to land. They got 2 left. So I think I'm going to split them up a little bit, because I might need them on the coast to get out, some of them out to a naval battle. Alright, so we got 1 tank in Hunan. We'll drive him up to there. We're going to bring this tank in here, and that tank down here. That mech up there. Alright, so we're going to have to deal with China here, along with the US. We're going to take this transport all the way back. And if we're going to defend in the Philippines, we might want to, we've got a naval base here, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Bring that infantry in one of those tanks. And then these 2 tanks are going to go to Yunnan. Alright, so we're going to move this sub down here to get him on a naval base. There isn't a Anzac transport. They did buy one this turn, so we won't lose any islands this turn. The US will have to make a decision on where they're going to go. We'll bring this carrier up. See, we got a destroyer. Let's see what's all in. Let me just move this up a little bit. Alright, so they're on a naval base. They could go to Japan So we're going to move our blockers down to these 2 islands. I can only scramble 3 here. Oh, but you know what? I got 2 open carriers that I need to get those planes on. So I was going to put a plane at either one of these air bases, but I think I'll waive that notion. I'm going to see if I bought a sub for Japan, and I did not. So we're going to move everything down to the Philippines to try and confront the US, except for 1 sub. I'm going to leave that sub back there. Alright, those 2 are blockers. Come down here, Mr. Cruiser. 2 more subs, or 2 more destroyers. And the subs are just going to be casualties if the US attacks. Alright, so I got 2 open carriers. I've got a plane, attack, a fighter on that one. I'm going to put the 3rd fighter in the Philippines. That gives me the option to scramble or try and defend that island if the US wants to try and come in, because I don't think the US has enough ground forces there to take that island. They can certainly hit that Navy, and that might be what's coming up next. But we will see from there. Alright. That is pretty much it for Japan. Oh, got 2 bombers I got to land. They're going to head out. Let's see, they were in Yunnan, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're going to head to the coast in case I need them for a naval assault. We'll put them there with Hong Kong, with that factory. And we're going to place our buy. Destroyer and a cruiser. Oh, I forgot I was going to leave one of those subs up there. 2 fighters. Now I've got a bunch of units. I'm going to divvy up here a tank at each factory in China, along with an infantry and artillery at each factory. And that leaves 6 infantry. So Japan is well defended. Alright. No opportunity to lose Japan, which is important if you're Japan. They did gain $3 from UK Pacific, and that's it. So that'll be 72.82. That is a $5 objective, having Calcutta and the islands. So that would be $92. And they are now number 1 on the board. They're 4 above the US on earning. And it looks good for the Axis right now. We'll see what the US does here. And I'm going to stop the camera and look at that battle and see if that's what I want to do with the US fleet. After some deliberation and looking at the Japanese fleet, the US fleet really only has a slight advantage in ships, but the Japanese have an advantage in planes, which are going to, defend higher than those ships that they have the slight advantage. So I changed the US buy. I did buy 1 carrier, so I switched out some units to get a 2nd carrier and a couple more ships. So we are going to slide back to Pearl, but we are going to send up some 3 fighters one destroyer and one transport because we don't want to lose the Carolina Islands. So that's there, and then I believe we'll send up some Anzac reinforcements as well. You know what? I need 3 fighters back here for a scramble, just in case something silly happens. So that will all be in Pearl. We'll come down with that. Oh, we have another fighter that's coming down. All right. So those will be the planes for that carrier, or both carriers, I should say. And then hopefully we can hit something here before too long. I don't do any good moving that bomber. I don't think there's really not a lot to bomb. Yeah. So all of Russia's gone. There's no landing place up there in the east. So let's look around over here. In the Gibraltar area, we have enough to take Normandy, but we don't have enough to hold it, even with those British reinforcements coming in. So in the next turn, we're going to have some extra transports from the US, 3 more with 3 more loads. We'll bring up the one from Brazil. So we do want to go across the desert though. Take some money away from, although maybe I should let Britain do that because they kind of need some, no. You know what, Britain does need the money. Yeah, let's let Britain do that. That way the US tanks are in a spot to move. So I'm going to mark those for Britain to do with that tank right there. Alright, so 3 transports heading back here. They'll load up from central US next turn. 1 will come down to Brazil to get those final 2 guys. And then these transports come over with 3 guys, a tank, and 2 artillery. And we do have 1 fighter that will land in Gibraltar. Alright, so that is pretty much it for the US on this side. I say that we're going to bomb. We're going to send both those bombers into Paris. And they can go, since that anti-aircraft moved from Belgium, there's no flyover. I probably should have left that there, suspecting that I wasn't going to come up here and attack Belgium this turn. Alright, so 2 anti-aircrafts in Paris, no good. Bombers, 9, so it's maxed at 6. So Germany will have to fix that again next turn. So it's like killing 2 infantry every turn, I guess. Although I did risk 24 IPC and bombers to do that. Alright. So let's place the US on this east side. The only thing I'm placing is the units in central that are going to be on those 3 transports. I say that I got enough for 4 there. Alright, so let's move 2 up to western or eastern United States. Alright, and then all these ships are going in the Pacific. I'm afraid it's probably not going to be enough. The US is probably going to have to buy mostly Pacific from here on out to try and combat Japan. Because Japan's land units, they don't need a whole lot left now. They're probably going to be marching into the Middle East. And I think this game is tipping on the Axis favor. But we will see. We will see. Alright, so China is next. China can make an attack if they want. guess if they head there, they're going to cut off all those tanks from moving south. So we'll send 2 guys in that fighter. So that'll be 2 1s and a 3. Got a hit. Japan fires back with nothing. So China, small victory. The plane will land back here. They've got 2 guys to place. Oh, I'll have to move that plane up north because that'll be within range of those other planes. I'll have to place that there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they'll have enough to buy 2 infantry and they saved $1, so China is on the short list in this game. Alright, UK Pacific, they're done. Those 3 artilleries, they can't possibly counterattack 5 tanks and 2 artillery. That was basically set up to be if there was going to be one of those attacks where Japan's down to its last tank or man, you know, you have to start losing planes. So in the Middle East here, well, we're going to move this to try and slow down the Japanese Navy. We're going to leave an artillery, slow down the Japanese tanks. What to do, what to do. Italy has 4 transports, so they can get to Egypt with ease, but there's still enough there that I don't think they can do anything with it. Oh, Britain did spend the $6 to fix this naval base. So now if they wanted, they can move 3 into the Med and come behind Italy. Because I do have another British transport up there. They could come down for next turn. But is that worth, you know, taking back Malta? I don't think it is. I think they're going to need that up north more. Alright, well, we're going to hit that with a mech, tank, and attack. And that is going to be the only battle. That battle did not succeed for Germany. I have to fortify Iraq. They're getting pinched on all sides there. So in Transjordan, 1, 3, and a 5, they get 2 hits. Italy's 2 infantry fire back. 1 hit. Alright. So all that for $1, but it does keep that tank from taking opportunity to blitz through into Egypt if Italy's going that route. I'll leave that marker there just in case they do. I don't know if they are or not. Alright, British. So it's basically non-com. We're going to drive that up into Georgia to block them from coming down. We're going to move all this into here. We're going to leave those tanks because they can go to, we'll move them to northwest so they have the option to go either direction. Those already moved. Transports can come down here to grab guys. This one can go all the way down. The truck can come up to Egypt. Alright, well, this battleship, no need to let it sit there. It's looking pretty thin. come down here with that transport and destroyer. I was going to wait to grab some Canadians on building this turn, but I think that transport's going to be needed to pull guys off of London. Alright, so I've got 2 factories in view there. Place Britain's units. We got an artillery, infantry, and a fighter. And down in South Africa, we've got a tank, mech, and infantry. And in Canada, I did put an infantry and artillery. I think next turn I'll be able to transport up there, because I can't really build it in the London area yet, unless that whole Navy comes up. And let's see if I got enough time to, yeah, we're at 12. Alright, so, oh yeah, I did remember to, I was going to blitz with that British tank. So that's why, you know what, I only got 2 units to move. Yeah, I'm still going to leave that transport down there. Alright, so Italy goes down 3. Britain goes up 3. So they're up to 47, you know, Britain is. Provided there's no loss here in Egypt. So Egypt has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tanks, a mech, 4 guys, 3 guys, and a plane. Well, it doesn't seem like Germany or Italy gonna take that. I think we're gonna give it a shot, because this is probably the end of Italy's advancement in the south here. So we're going to bring in with the 2 transports from up north, 2 infantry, artillery, tank. These 2 transports that are sitting here are going to grab the 2 infantry and 2 artillery in Greece. So we're also going to have some other attacks. This tank we're going to see about taking out for a buck and getting over there to Egypt as well. We can go, we don't have the forces to go into Iraq, but we can try and get Transjordan. I guess I can just turn that one over. Alright, so the bomber, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, the bomber can't take place. Now we'll go back and hit that naval base. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 2 planes from Rome can land on the carrier, and the 2 planes on the carrier, 1, 2, they could go back to Crete or Cyprus or wherever if I wanted to get them out of the way, because all these guys are heading in. Alright, so the big battle in Egypt. It's been waiting all game. I only have a bombardment of a 3. I got 1 tank. I got 4 fighters. Then I have 3 artillery with the infantry and 1 infantry alone. Alright, let's see what. Whoop, dice flying everywhere. Alright, so we get. Not good on the attackers. 4 hits. That will be all the Commonwealth troops in a mech. That's what happens when you fight for Britain. You are the first casualties. Alright, so they have 4 twos. Oh, there's another mech. 5 twos. 6 threes. Actually 7 threes because of that tactical is a 3. Alright. They got 5 back, so not exactly winning odds. Unfortunately, they have to continue. It's an amphibious assault. That was a bad attack. Thank you, Italy, for taking that risk. 2 twos. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, if they'd have had a good roll like that on the first, maybe that would have worked. So that leaves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Written down to 2 tanks and that tactical. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is that. They get one of the planes that would have landed on the had to land on the carrier. That is the end of that battle. But on the bright side, Germany has now an opportunity to take Egypt with the follow-up. If Germany wasn't set up to follow in that attack, that attack would have never happened. Alright, so there's a 3 on a 2. We'll just roll them together. Italy succeeds. Alright, and the other one is a 3, 2 twos, and a 1. For Italy, they get 1 hit, which is all they needed. Britain defends with a hit. Alright. So that is another territory down for Britain. Alright, so now it's not looking good for England at all. That guy died. Italy failed on its attack, but they did crush the units on the sides. Britain does have 1 transport in range that can get some units to Egypt, but Japan is breathing down their neck. So let me put out the Italian. We gotta keep boosting Rome here with units. And we are going to slide. Oh, I did forget to do the bombardment there. Alright, so we're going to move 1 there and 1 into Paris. Alright, we put these units out here in northern Italy. And then we'll do that bombing run in the naval base on Gibraltar. There is 1 fighter there, so it'll scramble. So this will be the interceptor fight. So each have to get a 1. Nobody gets anything. I threw them at the same time. Who knew what was that? Let's do that again. Italy. 2. U.S. fighter. Okay. Now the anti-aircraft. Oh, good. The bomber 4, so 6 again. So way to continue to punish Britain, as if they're not already getting punished enough. But they still are at 45 points, you know, on this map. It's just I don't think I think losing Calcutta might be the straw that breaks the Allies back here. Alright, so Italy's reinforcements are placed. Bomber has to land back here in southern France. Anzac does not have any attacks. And then the French are doing nothing, so French turns over. Got 3 fighters there. We got 3 fighters here for a scramble. We did not buy a fighter, so I'm going to leave those fighters there. Move these infantry up here. Bring this bomber back, sub back. Alright, so the next turn, Anzac will be set up to well, I say that. Japan has the option of coming down here and wiping that fleet out. So I guess if I move it all, the sub can only reach there, but if I move all this back here and build that transport back here, if US comes here, they can still reinforce. That seems like the wise move for Anzac. And that will be the end of turn 7. With, do look at the board here, the Chinese at 5. No, they're up at 6. I forgot to move them up, so Japan needs to come down one. Anzac, or UK Pacific off the board. Anzac at 14. Russia at 22. Italy at 24. Britain at 45. Japan dropped down to, what does that say, 81. US at 68 and Germany at 72. So that's where we are at the end of round 7, and it's looking bleak for the Allies.